I wanted to go swimming at the YMCA today. I have a membership at the YMCA because it is summertime. I love swimming. I do not have a swimming pool at my home, and there is not a public pool in the city of Memphis. That is insane. Do you know how insane that is? Do you want to know why there is not a public pool in the city of Memphis? It's because of racism. It's literally because of white supremacy and racism. I've gotten a little worked up. That happens in the heat. Statistically speaking, more crime happens when it's hot outside. That's an interesting fact. But I found out about the whole pool thing because of this movie called Crazy in Alabama. It is directed by Antonio Banderas, not well known for his directing. And it was a passion project starring his, I think, wife at the time, Melanie Griffith. And it has two main storylines, both of which originate in Alabama, but the Melanie Griffith storyline involves her going off to California after murdering her husband. That's the premise. I'm not spoiling anything. But the other major plot line that happens in the film is the civil rights struggle involving integration of public pools. And this is a spoiler but for the movie, but also it's just actually a historical fact about a lot of pools in the South. When it was ruled that the segregation of public pools, and also actually public schools. Let's be real here. Public schools too. When it was ruled that segregation was illegal, instead of accepting this and moving forward as an integrated society, they filled in the pools. They filled in the pools rather than having people swim together. That is the premise of white supremacy. That is why we cannot have nice things. I am white, and I don't get to go swimming in a public pool because white supremacists decided it was better that nobody of different races could swim together. Like, it was more worthwhile to them to destroy infrastructure that was already there in place that could have benefited everybody. They decided to destroy it instead of integrating. And so let's expand that out a little bit. So I grew up in the South, the southern United States. I grew up in the southern United States of America, and I went to private schools until I went to college. I specifically went to a Catholic high school after going to a Montessori school for elementary. And those are two vastly different experiences. And I think because Montessori is so different from everything else in the educational sphere, I didn't realize quite what I was getting into with Catholic school. But my high school was founded in, I think, the 1960s, somewhere around there. There are some private schools that were founded significantly before the civil rights movement and before integration. However, there are a number of schools that were founded, and they are sometimes referred to as segregation academies, that are private schools that were set up in order to skirt around Brown v. Board of Education and the integration of schools. And when you run a private school, you get to make a lot of choices about who is in your student body. You can't outright deny someone of color from attending your school anymore. Initially, private schools really tried hard to fight that. Segregation academies tried to fight that. But you can't do it outright. But you can come up with all kinds of excuses to not let people in. And by doing that, what happened was an increase in class divide, because the public schools that were funded with taxpayer money started to look not as appealing to some people. This happened in real estate too. This is like a white flight problem where a certain area of town would be redlined. I know I'm kind of going all over the place, but all of these things, it's the same. It's the same issue as the pools. They destroy public infrastructure. They stop funding public infrastructure. They take funding away from public infrastructure. And they expect more out of their staff, and they make it an unimaginably difficult environment in which to work. And then people leave for the private sector because people in power are intentionally making the public sector less effective. And where I live, and in a number of other places, suburbs of the cities, suburbs with money, start deciding that they would be better off. So they integrated the city and county schools here. And after that point, the suburbs decided, we want our own school districts. We want to be separate from the city, which actually looks a lot like segregation. I saw it in my high school. There was like one table of black people at my high school. I live in a majority black city. My elementary school was so small, you couldn't really... There were like 6 people in my graduating class from 8th grade. It was a whole different thing. My high school operated a lot like a regular high school. We had good teachers. We had a lot of good teachers, and I really appreciated that. But we also had so little integration that we did 3 plays. I was in theater, obviously. 3 plays in 1 year, 1 school year, 2007 to 2008, in which we featured white actors and actresses in like brownface and yellowface. Literally, like, there's one dude who, I have nothing against him personally. He was pretty funny, but I mean, he's this blonde, blue-eyed, Aryan-looking dude. He played a Mexican, he played a Middle Eastern person, and he played an Asian person, all in the same school year. This is insane. This was not, 1975, which even then I think the blackface was frowned upon. But no, in 2007 to 2008, we did Aladdin Jr. at my primarily white high school, private high school. There was a lot of bronzer. A lot of bronzer. And I escaped because I played Iago the Parrot and I just had to do the puppeteering and I got to dress up in a fancy little cute colorful outfit. And that was great for me. I had to do a squawky voice, ironic because I have a very good singing voice. But bronzer, so much bronzer. And we did Thoroughly Modern Millie, where they have 3 Asian racial stereotype characters who were all played by white people in 2008. I know this is kind of all over the place. I've said that already. But the point is, there was so little pushback within the environment of the private school that I attended about this. Like, I don't think anyone ever got reprimanded for that decision. And it's disgusting. Oh, the third thing, we did this stupid play called The Worst High School Play in the World. And it was. And that Aryan white guy I was talking about played a Mexican friar. And at first, watching the DVD again, I was like, maybe he's supposed to be Spanish. Maybe he's supposed to be from Spain. No, he's wearing a sombrero. And he makes jokes about beans. Deeply questionable. Deeply problematic. And because I'm here talking in this format after being denied pool time because, the YMCA has an event. The lifeguards have an Olympics thing. Very cute. Love it. Go lifeguards. I don't blame the YMCA for this. I blame white, segregationist, separatist, supremacists who filled in public pools for this. And for everything else. I mean, like, basically everything else. It's not just racism, but racism is such an easy way to dehumanize other people. It has been used to objectify other people for the history of the world. And it hurts all of us, except for the people at the very top. Except for the people who can afford to buy their way out of this just broken, toxic system.